you take a few moments to introduce yourself, please?
I'm April Frazier. I'm a confidence coach, also founder of Forward Confidence Coaching. I'm also a wife and a daughter and a sister, and I bring beautiful energy into the space and a sense of encouragement and excitement even to be here. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm really glad to have you on. We met at a Rich Litvin intensive several years ago. For listeners who don't know, Rich is a coach as well, and he's mentored many of us in the industry. Who who is it that you tend to work with, April?
My clients tend to be entrepreneurial minded women who have a side hustle or they want to have a side hustle. My clients tend to be women who are feeling drawn to a purpose that's different from the path that they're on, but they're feeling stuck. They're feeling some fear, they're feeling doubt. They want the confidence to go forward and take their side hustle, their business to the next level, and all of the imposter that comes up with, as you may know, going to the next level. Imposter goes with you. And how do you create it? How do you let go of the self, the identity created in order to create the new identity that's going to the next level? All of those things are things we work on. And leadership, what kind of leader do these women want to be? It is an identity shift. And so I help women remember how powerful they are to create whatever it is they want. It just happens to be that a lot of them want a business. They want a purpose-driven business, not just a business. Although it's easy to get distracted by the external metrics. I want to make $1 million, and I want to have a team, and I want to, have a castle. That's great, but what's your purpose? What's the quality of life that you want to land at when you get there? And that's the piece that many people don't take into consideration. What's the quality of life? Because the success really is an internal metric. We sometimes put the ownership or the responsibility of success on external metrics. If I have this, then I know I've arrived, I've gotten there, but actually success is an inside job. It's about who you be at that stage, and I help people anchor to that, to who they choose to be, and as a result, what they choose to do and what they choose to have.
Do most of your clients go out on their own and then run their businesses full time, or do they run it on the side and stay in their careers? Or is it
What's,
kind of a
in,
mix?
what's interesting is that people tend to start with a side hustle or they start with an idea. Almost always, people say, I want to help others. My
Right.
clients say pretty commonly, I want to help others. They may not be clear how, or they might have a side hustle already. They're just like, can I step away from the 9 to 5? And of course, that comes with its own set of challenges. Their feelings about money, their idea about stepping away from a paycheck, and then, yes, it's all you. You got to create it. It comes, so it's mixed. Most of the time, I will say lately, clients come to me and they have the idea, but how to bring it to fruition is where they're stuck because of all the stuff. They're at the very early stage of knowing that they want to do something different or greater or more purposeful than what they've been doing. But that shift it is a hero's journey. And they can have a sense that it's a hero's journey. And as the hero in the story, they're not quite sure how to navigate it. And so they come for guidance and support and help to make the journey. And how can you make it so that the success is inevitable? That's the question.
Can you say more about that? I'm really curious.
Again, remembering that success is an inside job, and to put the perspective of what success means on internal metrics is a shift in of itself. a lot of times people are worried about what people will say, what they will think. Who am I to say this? Especially entrepreneurs at the very early stage. Who am I? Who's going to listen to me? Will people pay for this? What should I post on social media? The imposter is really rife because they feel like, well, I'm just starting something. So who's going to listen? Who's going to pay? And then, who am I? The identity. It's really a lot about identity, who they think they are versus who they want to be and who they think other people think they are. Especially for high functioning human beings who, a lot of my clients, their parents rely on them, their families rely on them, their people at work rely on them. They are the saviors, they're the protectors, they're the defenders. And for them to allow themselves to open up for the uncertainty, let go of what they know and embrace what they don't know, to shift that in of itself allows them to define success for themselves. So success comes in many forms. Yes, we see the people who made it. We know Martha Stewart. We know about Oprah. We know about Rich Lippman, right? And the measure of success that they have by the external metrics. We see them in the ads that they send us and the emails that they send us and how they seem to have it all together. But the story, people's individual story, when we really get to the bottom of what they want, it's not so much the external piece. It's very much so I want to spend more time with my child. I want to not feel at the tyranny of somebody else's will at work, or I want to go travel. One client wants a castle. I want a castle. Fine, that's all having, right? But who do you choose to be? And that's so important that people don't realize. There's a triangle in the creative journey, and at the top of the triangle, if you imagine, I forget the exact term, but imagine a triangle with all the sides are the same.
Mm-hmm. Equilateral, I guess.
Equilateral?
I think so.
Yep. Okay, let's go with it. I was thinking isosceles, and I was like, is that right? I don't remember.
I think it's equilateral.
Equilateral. Okay, let's go with it. Imagine a triangle where all of the sides are the same. At the top, there's a peak, and the peak is B, and the do is at one side and have is at another side. We tend to get stuck in the do have. I need to do all this stuff so I can have the castle, so I can have the social feed, so my grid can look great, so I can make the money. And it's right here at the bottom of the top is B and do have are down here, and people are like, do have, do have, do have, do have, do have. And then they wonder why they don't feel successful, or they don't feel happy, they don't feel content. It's because they're not aligned to that B. I really want to be with my kids. I really want to be that person that doesn't worry, that doesn't micromanage others, that has time for all the things that are important to me. I really want to be that person that gives back and supports schools in Africa. Okay, well then you can't get stuck in the do have without regularly coming back to be. So, quick side note, by the way, on this note, this is one thing that I think you and I talked about when we were talking about Super Bowl, the last Super Bowl, Brady and Mahomes, right? And they're right. Like, this is like the game. This is a historical game, right? And Ryan, I before I got married last year, I was not a football person. Don't care about football. Couldn't care less. Okay, and I only started watching because it became like this Sunday tradition as a newlywed. It's like I'd make a certain meal, we'd watch, and I'm doing it for love, Aaron. Okay, I'm doing it for love. And then I started to notice actually there's a lot of leadership that happens and doesn't happen. There's a lot about teamwork that happens and doesn't happen. That as a coach piqued my interest. So this epic game, Mahomes and Brady, the GOAT, yes, and the young guy, and they're like highest paid NFL quarterback in the NFL, and then Brady, right? It was the GOAT, right? And the only reason I bring it up in the context of this conversation is to say one of the biggest things I learned in that last Super Bowl was they had played each other. These two teams had played each other previously. I think it was week 12. Ryan Clark actually pointed this out. I was watching ESPN again with my husband, and he pointed out that they played before. They played in week 12, and Kansas City beat them. That is to say, beat the Bucs, right? Not by a very big margin. It's like 21-24 or something like that. Not very big, but beat them. And then in the Super Bowl, the Bucs came back and they wiped Kansas City. Like, did not score a single touchdown. Not a single touchdown. That's unheard of, right? Again, the highest paid quarterback in the NFL did not score a single touchdown. Now, what was pointed out, which I think is really pointed and related to this conversation, is if Week 12 hadn't happened, the failure, that is to say when the Bucs lost, would they have been as strong when they came back the second time? Because what they could do is take Week 12 and learn, okay, so here's who we need to guard, here's what we need to do, here are the adjustments we need to make. And then they came back and they slammed. Now, in fairness, Kansas City had some other stuff that happened, unforeseen occurrence, sure. But the Bucs had something to adapt to. And I think for the purpose of this conversation, that's so important as leaders and as entrepreneurs to notice that the failure actually can be a really good thing. Even epic failure can be a really good thing because it gives you something to adapt to and to grow from, versus a linear line, especially for people who are driven by accomplishment and who are really high performers, myself included. Yeah, okay. If it's hard, that means I'm gonna try harder. And that means a failure can be a really powerful opportunity to go to the next level and come back and slay. And so I say all that to say that it's really important to notice that as a leader.
I think about like some of the failures that I've had along the way. I started out, I did this 50 powerful coaching conversations challenge, and it's actually supposed to be 100 powerful coaching conversations challenge, but I just 50. And like, there were a ton of successes along the way, but there are also a bunch of failures where like somebody didn't show up or I didn't show up. Like I literally missed a few meetings. Or I just like realized I don't actually want to coach that type of person at all. Like I actually don't want to do like life coaching. And so like that was like one like failure, but it was actually like it propelled me forward to then focus more on like career transition, people that were like going through career transitions. But then there were like failures in that. Like I just started to do it, but I like wasn't as interested in it, and I like dropped the ball with certain clients. So there were like failures in that. But then that led me to like realize, oh, like I really like working with entrepreneurs and startup teams, and starting this podcast to help people like understand how to run businesses and learn from fellow entrepreneurs, learn all the lessons. And so, and I'm sure there'll be failures in this, which I will then take me to the next thing. But the failures, they lead to the next thing. So if you just continuously taking action and being resilient and being who you want to be, it eventually works. Let's go to, I have a question from Yvonne Aguayo. He's a friend of mine. She's starting out on this path. He says, how do you push yourself to break free of what other people think about you when you post something to social media, especially vulnerable stuff?
In terms of caring too much about what other people think and managing that comes with practice, that comes with skill, that comes with choosing to do things outside of the comfort zone. There's a lot of fear around doing scary things. I had one client I work with who she wanted to start a business. She had all these things, but she was afraid to do things that were unfamiliar. So the idea being, we didn't even think about the business. Just start doing things that are unfamiliar. Go live on Facebook if you've never done it before. It's a harrowing experience. First time I ever did it, like I thought I was gonna lose my lunch, Aaron. I'm talking about in both directions, not to be too graphic, but I mean, it was like, what? first webinar, and my marketing coach had taught me like get on Zoom and stream it through Facebook, and it was a live thing. Oh my goodness, I had to lay on the couch for 2 days because it was that much of an assault to my nervous system. Yep. I'm not gonna lie, that's not easy. But do it 25 times, do it 50 times. And by somewhere in there you realize you know what you need to say because you know what your client needs to hear. And it's not about you at all. It's about shining your light in the dark. Does that answer? Does that help?
Yeah, totally. There's an element of just the number of reps to get over all of that, all of the fears and the vulnerability and the insecurities around it. When I do that, I learn what kind of sticks. So by putting it out there consistently, I learn kind of what resonates with people and what actually serves people.
Yeah.
Now, the trick is the vanity metrics of the likes or whatever, or comments, which it can be a trap, which many of us know, but just for anyone listening who's kind of like starting out and thinking about that, the vanity metrics is like the post the picture with puppy dogs and it gets 168 likes and doesn't actually move your business forward particularly. So it is a bit of a seeing what resonates, but not getting caught up in the like game.
What I advocate for is for people to be a beacon. And if you're going to be a beacon or a lighthouse, for example, a lighthouse turns a light on in the dark. Doesn't worry about how many ships are in the ocean. Doesn't worry about if it's being seen or not seen. Turns its light on, turns it all the way on, and lets the right ships get what they need. And the illustration is to detach from the outcome. So on social media and anywhere, right? You want to be a beacon or a lighthouse. You want to be able to turn on your lights and the right people will magnetize to you. What I advocate for, and I created a side hustle guide specifically for these kinds of things because people would come and they would say, well, what do I post? And I'm worried about what other people will think about what I post. Well, is this the right thing? It's really quite simple. What to post on social media is really about who is your client, what are their problems, what are they facing, what are they Googling right now, what's keeping them up at night, why are they feeling stuck, what are they afraid to say out loud, but they're definitely feeling. Imposter syndrome, for example. Most of us carry imposter syndrome, and unless we're trained to recognize it and to solicit help, so imposter syndrome happens entirely in the brain. What we think other people think about us, and we don't generally check, right? So the idea being, if someone is feeling some kind of way about what other people will think, they're thinking too much about them and not enough about the person they're trying to serve. Because the questions that the client has, again, turning your light on, lighthouse, what are they looking for? They need your light. What light in order for them to find you? It's really that simple.
What's the next evolution of your social media strategy?
I post on social media when it feels right and when I have a real strong message, that's that light. But I don't post if I don't feel that it's strong and it's me shining lights. If it's something that might be just to post, just to put something out there for the algorithm, I don't do that. Mm-hmm. So it might be weeks before I post again. And I focus more on building a quality email list. I focus more on one-to-one contact and building relationships. I have some communities that I've joined in which I focus on meaningful contact. How meaningfully can I connect and get like a one-on-one with someone I may have connected with I got a speed networking thing that's coming up, and I make a game of it. Sure, let's talk.
Who's that through?
So this is for women. This is tech ladies. This is for women. But I love it. I meet like 5 or 6 people and we chat, and what happens, right? Let the natural flow, whatever happens, happens. And if it's like, hey, you know what, I would love to talk more. Yeah, let's do it. I met somebody who's letting me practice my Spanish, and somebody in California, and somebody, right? And yeah, and if it makes sense, you know what, I think I can serve you in a call, because based on what you said. And I did. I had a woman contact me, and she's like, hey, yeah, I would love that. And she was absolutely served, right? So I find I have several several communities that I have joined, that when I show up authentically on those places, and I always aim to show up authentically on those places and let my light shine on those places, I naturally attract in. And then all I'm looking to do is, can we have a face-to-face? Would you like to talk? Here's what I do. Here's how I help people. Or sometimes I connect with people, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to follow you. I go follow them, maybe, if it makes sense, right? And then we see where we go. I comment. When I post something that's from flow, that's really me on my light on, then people are like, girl, I need to hear that. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you were so right. I posted this thing about don't let social media make a people pleaser out of you. And I didn't know what the impact was going to be. I got on the microphone and with the video, and I had to say it. I just had to say it. I posted it. I didn't think about it. I went to sleep, woke up the next morning, it was like in my DMs, and I'm like, whoa. People I don't even know are following me. How did you find me? Like, were you following me before? No, somebody must have told you that I posted this thing, because then how many followers came from that? And again, if it were 5, but they were magnetized to my message, then those are people who are going to stay. My numbers
Did they
don't
then like ask to do a call or something? Or...
Not directly, but I make the offer, right? If it's like, okay, this resonates. Sometimes, and I will say too, this is a practice of mine. I test the interest. So if someone comes to me, they're just like, I love your post. Okay, cool. I'm glad it served you. Maybe I'll ask, what did you get from it? Or I'll ask something non-related to actually making a client. Like, so do you have a business? Do you have a side hustle? Blah, blah, blah. Just get them to talk. Okay, cool. You know what you might be served by? You might want to join my email list, because I talk about this stuff all the time. What's really powerful about the email list is that people do engage and they do read, but you want it to be people who are magnified to your message, not just a bunch of emails in there. Yeah. And my retention rates, my open rates for my email list are like 40%, which is above average in the industry.
How many people do you have, out of curiosity?
Not very many. I think it's maybe 250 right now on my email list.
Yeah.
So I do get clients from that, because people...
You make offers like specifically on there?
So, quick story. I used to.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, go buy this. Hey, I used to put in every single email, have a conversation with me, link, 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 link. And people would read the content, and sometimes I would get emails back that say, this was so great, I still needed to hear this. No clients. Mm-hmm. And then I started to realize, Aaron, that actually what happens is people want to lurk for a while.
Right.
And they want to just see, like, are you okay? Are you a real authentic human? The email list is the place where they get to lurk, and yet they're getting served content, right?
Love that term.
Right? They just want to, like...
That is totally what happens. I mean, I do it myself.
Yes!
Sign up for the email list. We want to lurk. We want to, like, see what's happening.
Yes.
Okay, so it's like...
So I don't make direct offers, to your question. I will say, hey, if this is what I'm doing, like with the side hustle guide. Hey, this is the side hustle guide. Blah, blah, go give them a code or something like that. But in the bottom of my emails, it'll say ways we can work together, and I just leave that.
Okay, got it. Ways we can work together.
Yeah. Sometimes if I have an offer, I will say, hey, this is what I'm doing. But generally what I try to aim for is give them something, give them a gift in every email. And that may be something tangible they can go download, or it may just be something that they need to hear. And I make that my focus. Regardless of what happens, I make it my focus, and my light's going to be on, and I'm going to give them a gift. And those are the people. Like I do have one client who recently came to me. She's been following me for probably 2 years. She came into one of my lower price offers and she disappeared. Something I put out there, she's like, oh, yeah, so I downloaded the guide, and then in the guide I invite people, hey, go, we work through something, I give them a guide, in the guide I give them a process, work through this. If you're still feeling stuck, I invite you to book a one-on-one call. And she did. I've already served her before, but she's like, yes, I need help because I'm stuck here. Having something that serves and then invites both in email and the content that I create. That's my strategy. Serve them and then invite and then leave it.
To like summarize, it's post to LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff, be a beacon. Let me like put stuff out that shows a beacon and speaks a message.
Yes.
Then you're doing these different communities and you're joining like the speed networking.
And I don't do it on any consistent schedule.
Yeah.
Put more emphasis on is the newsletter and building all these communities, connecting, genuinely connecting. And then when I hear it, and I almost always do in some conversation, if I hear it, I'll say, hey, that's what I do. Would you like help?
So then you're making the invites. That's the connect, invite, create, propose, Rich Lippman framework, Prosperous Coach framework.
Exactly.
So it's like indirect marketing, to use like a term, and then it's following the Prosperous Coach approach.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which I love because it takes the pressure off of like, how do I build a funnel? Aaron, I have no interest in a funnel. And I've joined groups where they're just like, you need a funnel, you need a webinar, and they give you the steps and all that. That doesn't feel authentic for me.
Let's go to your entrepreneurial lessons, April. What have you learned along the way? What would you tell emerging entrepreneurs?
I would tell a couple things. Start from first, anytime I firmly believe that if a person is feeling drawn to do something different, to create something in the world that does not yet exist, a business of any kind, and the question is, will someone pay for that? Yes, they will pay for what you have to offer in your brain right now, regardless of however much experience you have, how much time you have in doing it, all that. Yes, they will pay. It is possible. So that's the first thing. It's possible. Secondly, I would say what I learned is be really clear about your intention and the quality of life you want to create. Not the stuff you want to have, not the stuff you need to do, who you choose to be. Thirdly, I would say, I have a lot of thoughts, so I don't know how many you want me to rattle off. But
Please keep rolling.
Thirdly, I would say you have to be sold on your own product or service. You got to be sold. This is going to help people, and focusing on that. How does this help people? Which, on the note of money, it is huge to overcome. Whatever gaps in the mindset of money, whatever you think money means about you, it doesn't. And it's crucial to do the work around your own money mindset. The money mindset piece, though, is so important because we can get trapped there. In fact, I do see entrepreneurs get trapped there. Who am I to charge this? And who am I to raise my rates? Well, if you can't, your quality of life is not served by what you're charging and what you're making, then you have to raise your rates.
Do you have specific resources, April, on how to unpack those money mindsets, books?
I do. The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind was one of the first books. I forget the guy, but it's super famous. Sometimes women maybe have some hesitation because it's written by a guy, but I do find that he nailed some of the common pitfalls of when a person does not come from that mindset and they're trying to notice how they think about money and notice how they think about rich people. Also, people have a tendency to think of rich people as they're selfish or they're this or they're that. There's this negative connotation put on people who have money, and unless you come from money and you know, or you, even when, like for example with the woman I talked to last night, I said, well, because she said, well, I have rich friends, I have rich boyfriends, like, and I said, well, do you notice them to be selfish? And she said, actually, no. Okay, so then where does the belief come from that if you are rich, air quote, and I'm not advocating again for how much money people make or whatever, that's your business. But the idea being that there's a mindset block here. Where does the belief come from that if you're rich, then you are somehow greasy, negative, selfish? It's just money and you gotta have it. You gotta have some of it, everybody. So what's the story? And she really couldn't speak to it. And for a long time, I didn't realize what mine was. So Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, I also worked with a coach, a high performance coach, who got me to thinking about my assumptions about what I could charge, what people would pay for. One common thing that trips people up to new entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are scaling is the idea of like, I can't charge more because I'll lose clients, or I want my prices to be accessible. Accessible for whom? And what I have found is when I am not in integrity with the number that I'm asking for, this is what my services are worth. When I lowball that, I don't like how I show up, because when it feels greasy to me. It feels like I have been dishonest.
Right.
Versus when I have charged what it's really worth, what I feel it's really worth, I find that those clients, not only they pay in full, there's no hesitation, yes, how can I pay you? Versus the clients where I felt like dishonest about it, I charged too little, those are the ones that are like, well, how many days a week and how much time do I get and what do we, and they're looking for to make sure they're getting the most value. Well, those are clients who are not truly committed to, or I haven't really impressed them the value, they don't see it, in which case, regardless of the money amount, I don't want that client.
This has been great, April. How can people find you?
Reach out to me on Forward Coaching, FRWD coaching.com. Is the best way to reach out to me. On my website, you can schedule a call with me. The call is complimentary to learn about greater confidence, what it would do for you, what working together would do for you. And I just love serving. So the call will be in service to whoever reaches out, but Forward Coaching is the best way to reach out to me. You can find me on social media and all those things, but the best way is to come in directly and let's have a conversation.
Awesome. Let's wrap there.